But right now, a first-timer, finally, we got him on. After a couple unfortunate times we couldn't connect, joining us right now to talk about Juventus and AC Milan. What a big matchup coming up on the weekend. Marco Messina, who covers Serie A and loves watching Juventus. Marco, welcome, my friend.
What's up, man? How are you? I'm so happy to be on today.
Pleasure's all mine. Marco, let's get to something you tweeted out before we dissect the game. And you tweeted this out, and I think it's very important that we discuss this. It's something that Alex Del Piero said. Del Piero says that more players need to stop and take pictures with fans. For you, it's 1 second. For them, it's a lifetime of joy. God bless Alessandro Del Piero for saying that, because I couldn't agree 1,000 times more. I know myself, as a parent of two boys, Marco, waiting, when some of the teams come to play friendlies here in Toronto, they walk away and they just disregard those young kids staying there. I think this is so key. Talk about it, Marco.
Yeah, I know. When I was reading it, I almost got goosebumps just seeing it. And, I've met Del Piero a few times, and I know that he lives by this. He doesn't just say it. One time I was in Torino, and he was sitting at a bar near me. Two guys ran in, and they wanted a picture with him. The security threw them out, 2 seconds. Del Piero got out from the bar, who he was sitting with, goes outside, and takes pictures and signs autographs for them, too, and everyone else that was waiting.
You see, and this
really embraces it.
Yeah, and this, Marco, is going to go a long way, a lifetime of memory for those people, for those youngsters. All he did was come outside, take a picture, or sign an autograph, and it's priceless. It doesn't cost him nothing to do this, but put a smile on people's face.
I know, and a lot of players, they don't get it, But seeing a true champion like Del Piero get it, that makes us all happy.
So let's talk about that. You talked about him being a true champion, and I think of the years past where Del Piero's Juventus squad took on the AC Milan stars of Maldini, Costa Curta, Nesta, on and on and on. I don't see this sizzle today with Juve taking on Milan. I don't hear it. I don't feel it. There's no star power on Milan. There's plenty of star power on Juve. How are the fans in Italy and all over the U.S., especially in your pocket, they're reacting to this game coming up? Are they excited? Are they ho-hum? It's just another game.
I mean, it's not the same as years before, with the champions that we used to have. But this is Juventus and Milan, and it's in Torino, and this game is always anticipated. There's so many people going to it, and no matter who's on Milan and Juventus, there's still two huge teams, and it's always going to be a great match that everybody looks forward to.
Let's talk about this matchup. Obviously, a lot of Juve players were away on national team duty for a couple of friendlies that took place. Some injuries, as we know about. Buffon not at 100%, but obviously is going to be massively important for this squad. The youngster of Milan, I think he's 17 years of age, Donnarumma. This is going to be a matchup I'm real interested to watch.
I know. I mean, really, there's some great things to go. A lot of people are saying how, Serie A has gone down and stuff. There's some great things to look forward to,
Give me, in your mind, what are the things that the fans need to watch from this game that are going to be key for Juventus to come out on top at home, or for Milan to put a shocker into this game?
I mean, for Juventus, if you look at the midfield, they're going to have a strong midfield, Khedira, Marchisio, and Pogba. And I think that's going to be a really strong point. We've seen Juventus this season. They haven't looked the same. And, they lost key players, but they need to come out united. Like we saw them play against Man City in the Champions League. That game was great, and they need to follow that through. And I think in the big games, Juve will show up. Like against Milan at home, I think that the teams are going to show up. But for Milan, definitely Donnarumma. This kid's 16, and he's starting against Juventus in Torino at Juventus Stadium. It's mind-blowing to hear that, really. I mean, if you think about what we were doing at 16, I mean, he's accomplished so much already.
Yeah, absolutely. Marco, to me, this is a squad that's full of veterans, this Juventus squad. Morata, Marchisio, Buffon, Chiellini, on and on and on. But there's a youngster that I believe that head coach Allegri has not given enough time to, enough respect, enough trust in. That's Rugani. Do you believe this youngster will get in some precious minutes in this game, or do you believe that this kid will be the future of Juventus moving forward?
I mean, there's been a lot of talk about Rugani these past few weeks, if you're checking what everybody's saying. But you got to think about it like this. I was talking to my friend about this today, actually. And the Juventus defense hasn't changed that much, the past few years. You got Barzagli, Bonucci, Chiellini, Evra now, who's been so vital, Lichtsteiner. it's not easy, especially, what is he, 19, 20, to just break into the team. Do I think he's going to play against Milan? No. But I do see him as a future. There's a lot of talk that he's going to leave and stuff, but I think there needs to be some patience with him. He's a young kid, and Juventus defense especially, it's hard to break into. It's not an easy thing.
So when we look at this AC Milan squad, to me, there's a lot of question marks. I enjoy watching Mattia Di Scelio play. I think this is a bright spot on their squad. You've got some other guys that have bounced from club to club in years. I mean, Nocerino comes to mind. Some others come to mind. Montolivo, who's never been at 100% for the last couple of years. I mean, this is a squad, to me, that has a lot of question marks. Balotelli went in for surgery, I believe, yesterday on his hip. That's a big loss. I mean, what do you expect from this Milan squad to bring to the table in this massive match?
I mean, it's not easy. Milan haven't been that team. They're lacking a lot lately. But I don't think they've been as bad as everyone's saying. I saw some bright spots, and I loved Kučka this year. When they signed him, the fans were very upset. But to me, Kučka has been a fantastic player. And this year, Montolivo, too, he's been doing great. And Bonaventura. They have some key players, and I think they need time. They need time to work together. There's a lot of new guys. They're under a new coach who's doing a new philosophy. Are they there yet? No, probably not. They're not. I don't think they're a Champions League team yet. But they're getting there, and they've got some young guys, like you said, and some bright spots like Baca, who I really like, and he's been performing very well.
Yeah, that Carlos Baca has absolutely been performing well lately. But to me, this is a squad that still has a lot of ups and downs throughout the early parts of the season. And I think they need to straighten it out if they want to make a run to get a spot in Champions League, which I believe is a long shot. But hey, it's still a long season ahead. To me, I think they need to stabilize this team. They need to have that system in place that their coach, I believe, is one of the best in Europe, not just in Italy, that really has instilled a lot of structure, a lot of tactics that in my mind weren't there in years past.
No, yeah, I completely agree. Mihajlovic, he's got that ferocity to him, and I think that, I saw Milan play a few weeks ago, and they looked like they were lacking that, confidence, that hunger to keep playing, and I think that's going to be more important than just talent alone, like when they were played Napoli at home in the San Siro, after a few goals, they gave up, too easy. And I think it takes time, again, to learn Mihajlovic's system. But I do see some bright spots. But yeah, they're far away from Champions League for me.
To me, the bright spot on Juve the last couple of years obviously has been Paul Pogba. But to me, a guy that doesn't get enough respect, is starting to get that respect, is Cuadrado. Watching this guy play, boy, oh boy, it is a treat watching him play. We know what Pogba can do. But to me, watching a guy like Cuadrado and what he brings to the table, that to me is going to be very key and important moving ahead in Champions League competition and also for the Scudetto.
I know, I agree. If you watch him play, if you single him out, he almost always beats his man. And this is something, he's that speedy, tricky winger that could always beat his guy. And it's something that Juventus have missed, and it's bringing them a new dynamic to the team. And I think he's fit in perfectly. At Chelsea, he didn't have a good time. We all know that. But maybe he's finding his feet, back in Serie A. And I really loved him so far. I think that he's done really well, and he's shown, he can integrate into a team that's won a lot previously and take on that pressure.
Marco, you mentioned something interesting a few minutes back about Italy and Serie A not getting the respect around Europe and around the world like it used to have years ago when we watched Baggio, Zidane play, when we watched all sorts of world-class players play in Italy, and the budgets were out of this world. The clubs were spending all sorts of money. But unfortunately, hard times have fallen in Italy, and some clubs have gone bankrupt, on and on. But I believe it's coming back. When I hear players like Ibrahimovic saying, I learned so much in Italy, I love playing in Italy. When I hear other players like Morata, when I hear coaches, like Benitez and even Mourinho saying, Italy, it's a challenge coaching in there. They understand it. They live it. They breathe it. It's not easy compared to other leagues. That what says to me that they are starting to come back.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And I love how you brought up what Ibra just said, how hard it is to actually score. And a lot of people, they think, Serie A is not as good as it used to be. But if you look at the table, I'm not saying the quality is as great as it used to be, but if you look at the table, look, Fiorentina's in first, and then you see Sassuolo in fifth place for a Europa League spot. and Atalanta's up there, Sampdoria's up there, and Juventus is in 7th place now. It's so unpredictable, and I think it's so much fun to watch. Every week there's been a new team in first, and it's a lot of fun, especially this year. Juventus is not dominating at the top. Juventus fans aren't as happy, but it's all around so entertaining. And like you said, all these players who've come back and said how great Serie A was, and I definitely think it's hard to score there. And we've seen players who came over and have struggled there. And, teams defend tight in Italy, but now they're also attacking too, and there's new philosophies brought in,
And Marco, also, let's not forget, it's been refreshing lately to hear a lot of Italian coaches in demand. Conte, obviously in demand somewhere in England or in Spain. Ancelotti, we know what he has done. We hear Mancini is in hot pursuit still. We're hearing all sorts. Lippi went on to coach in China. I mean, on and on. It's nice and refreshing to see. Even Capello, he had a stint in Russia. It didn't go as successful, but here's a guy who's won all sorts. These are guys now that are being highly sought after. I think this is fantastic.
No, yeah, it's beautiful. And one of my favorite coaches right now is Conte. And I know he receives criticism in the national team, but if you think about what he's done and how he took a very average team, and this goes back to what we were saying about Milan. When Juventus won in 2011, they weren't the best technical team, but the coach instilled that mentality that winning was the only option. And they were fought. That team really fought, and they came in first over a Milan side that was better than them technically. And like you said, these Italian coaches, abroad, I love seeing, Mancini when he succeeded at Man City, and Ancelotti winning for Real Madrid. It's beautiful to see, and I hope we see more of it. Ancelotti might come back soon, and Capello, there was talks about him all over. So yeah.
You mentioned Conte there, and he takes unbelievable heat at the national team, unbelievable criticism. I got to tell you, I don't think he needs to be judged until the Euros are done. Forget these last couple friendlies that didn't go the way that he would have liked. He needs to be judged at the Euros. He's gotten there. Let's see when he gets there what he can do. And then maybe we can start judging the guy. Let's not forget, this guy with Juventus won Scudetto after Scudetto, and he came to coach the national team. Whatever the reasons were, he came to coach the national team. He has really transpired something differently in this team that I haven't seen the last couple of years. They want to play for one another. There's a spirit, there's an enthusiasm, and there's a joy for representing that jersey that I hadn't seen in years and years ago, Marco.
Exactly. You said it perfectly. If you hear what the players have been saying, Florenzi and everyone all over, they're saying how much they like Conte's system. And Giaccherini was saying the other day that it's like a family there, And I was at, when Conte's first year at Juventus, I was inside their training facility, and I saw how Conte trained these men. They were running for an hour straight in 101-degree weather, and he doesn't care who you are. Luca Toni complains, he screams at them. He doesn't put anyone above the other, and I think he really earns the respect of all the players. And you see how he could drop Balotelli, or if you don't play good or you have a bad attitude, he drops you. It's not like the way that Prandelli's Italy was, where I felt like, Balotelli did something stupid, not just Balotelli, but if someone did something stupid, if they're good enough, they could just play. With Conte, he doesn't take that. He doesn't accept that kind of stuff.
So what's the words that you want to give to the people out there that say Conte has his Juve block on the national team and it's there for a reason because he's comfortable with them. It doesn't matter how successful other players are on other teams this year. He's going to go with that Juventus block, even if they're aging in years, like Barzagli, like Bonucci, Chiellini, on and on. What do you want to say to those people that give him criticism to that?
Well, I think it's natural. If we try to put ourselves in his shoes, he coached some of these players, like you said, Barzagli and Bonucci, for 4 years, intensely. I do think that he relies on them because he knows that he won with these players and they have his respect. But I don't think that he's, not going for other players. If you look at Graziano Pelle, who's playing in the Premier League, he's open and he's been changing, and Giaccherini now calls up. And I think he's been really fair with his call-ups. And okay, I can understand them saying that he sticks with a strong Juventus side, but it's also understandable when you see that Juventus has been one of the only teams succeeding in Italy these past few years, and especially that he was the coach of that team, and even Champions League, So I understand the point, but I also understand that he needs time, and I think he's been getting the results. And like you said, the Euros will speak for themselves.
Marco, it was great having you on. I'm glad we finally connected. It won't be the last time. We'll get you on in 2016 as the Champions League action continues with Juve and with Roma on and on. We'll talk about the transfer market and we'll discuss a lot of the stories in regards to Juventus in Italy. It was a pleasure having you on. Keep up the great work. And before we let you go, where can people follow you on Twitter?
My Twitter is Marco Calcio22. Tweeting all Italian news in English. And you can also see my YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel for Italian football fans in English, and it's on YouTube, Italian Football TV.
Outstanding. Marco, congratulations on that. Good luck on that venture. And as I said, don't be a stranger. We'll get you on in 2016 as well, my friend.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to be on.
Pleasure's all mine. That was Marco Messina, a guy who covers Juventus, Serie A, and knows the league inside out. It was great having him on. We had a couple times that we couldn't connect, but we connected tonight, and it was outstanding talking to that young man.